To today's City Council meeting, a special day and a special time. So we apologize for that. We want to give everybody a chance, the staff and employees, to enjoy hopefully they take many days off next week for Christmas holiday. So with that, if I could ask everybody to please rise for the invocation. Today's invocation will be given by Reverend Betty Massey of Fairhope Christian Church. And please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we thank you for this day and for this season that we are able to partake in. And I pray that as this council gathers around and these members come before them, that everything that will be brought up today will be for your glory, and that we may always remember that we are a body of one, and that as we make decisions and as we discuss things, that we remember that we are together trying to make better our place here in Fairhope. Be with each and every one who speaks today. Grant them peace and understanding, and give us wisdom in our decision-making. And may we each and every one enjoy this wonderful season where we can rejoice in your greatest gift, your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ, whose name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend Massey. Words to live by. Thank you. Council, before we get started, I would like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add one item. This item has been discussed in the past, and this would be a resolution giving permission to the Bayshore tennis team to use the tennis courts at Mike Ford at the rate of $5 per player per day, and then it would delay the rates that were described in Resolution 5189-24 to go into effect on June 1st, 2025. So this is something that has been discussed. This also does not affect the tournament play. The tournament play fees under Resolution 5189-24 would remain in effect. So can I entertain a resolution to amend the agenda to add this as item 29?
I'll make a motion to amend.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, that will be item number 29. I believe you've all been given a copy of that resolution as well, right? Okay. All right, next item of business will be to approve the minutes of the December 9th regular city council meeting and the minutes of the December 9th 2024 work session. Do you have any additions, deletions, changes to those minutes?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Okay. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, those minutes are approved. Thank you. Mayor Sullivan, your report, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Just a few things. One, just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and remind everybody that the city is closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, so there's no garbage, trash, or recycling pickup. And also, before we meet again, we will have the New Year's Eve celebration, which is in downtown Fairhope on New Year's Eve. Fireworks at midnight. I think it's the U.S. band that will be playing in downtown, starting at 8 o'clock, I believe, or 8:30. So you can find that information on our social media channels or on the city's website. So just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And I'm going to turn it over to Allison Marlowe with Girl Scout Troop 8017 to talk about the annual cookie sale.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey.
I didn't bring the girls with me because they're all in finals this week. But I just wanted to come and ask again permission for us to sell downtown. And brag on my girls a little bit. This is our 10th year as a troop in Fairhope, which is no small task for a Girl Scout troop. And we have girls in grades 3rd through 10th, which is also no small task for a group of girls. But over the years, these young ladies have really not just formed a bond, but they've really formed a community bond. They watch out for our younger girls. They teach our younger girls. They plan their own trips. They plan their own activities. They don't just make sure everybody gets up the hill. They make sure everybody gets up the hill safely and successfully and meets a goal, which as an adult in our community is just really cool to watch. So I'm super proud of them. We have girls that are setting amazing, huge goals. We have one Gold Award winner. Those projects are equal to an Eagle Scout project, though I would say they're a little more difficult because they have to be a sustainable project that kind of renews its dedication to the community every year. They can't build a static project. It has to be something that continues to contribute to the community in a way that is a little bit more meaningful than just building something. As an example, I have one girl this year who is deathly allergic to bees. One sting will kill her. But her project is to help build a bee program at Fairhope High School, in addition to their new farming kind of agriculture classes, so that the kids can learn beekeeping, learn how it results in, or how the two agriculture and the bees work together, and that we need bees to sustain any kind of agriculture on the planet. So for a young lady who would be killed by a bee sting, for her to make that the entire crux of her project and really understand how important that is an enormous deal. I know adults that wouldn't even do that. So I'm super proud of them. Our girls are going in 2026 to represent the state of Alabama at the National Girl Scout Convention that coincides with the 250th anniversary of the nation in Washington, D.C. I have a couple girls going to Ecuador this summer to camp with the Girl Scouts. Which should be interesting. Yeah. And then in 2027, they are working as a group for the whole troop to go to the Girl Scout camp in Switzerland. So they have big, big goals, which means a lot of cookies. So we appreciate all your help in letting us sell downtown.
Allison, when do y'all start selling?
We are going to sell January 7th through March, that first weekend of March.
And that location will be, is you requesting?
We're always right there across from the library.
Okay. Right there in the Jewel spot there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that way there's plenty of room, and people have learned to kind of look for us. They always know that we're there. I get text messages starting, already, like, why aren't you guys there yet? I'm like, I don't have them yet. So we'll have them in January.
Any new cookies, Ms. Marlowe?
Not this year. No,
Okay.
not this year.
Wait, now,
No.
tell me that date again.
That we start?
Yep.
January 7th, I think it is, yeah.
7th? Do we
Yes,
have
sir.
a meeting between now and then?
So we need to get a resolution on the
we-
next agenda before they're able to start.
Well, I'm saying, we don't have a meeting between now and
That's
then.
correct.
So we
That's correct.
need to have a resolution tonight, today.
Yeah, either today or put it off until the 13th. This was added under my comments without me knowing what was going on, so I had no idea.
Let me ask a question. Would you have a problem adding a resolution to give permission to use the public area next to Jewel's for the Girl Scout cookie sales for the dates presented? We've done this numerous times. How dare you say no?
Yeah, if you want to be deemed a monster, say no, I dare you.
Hold up. Why are y'all looking at the black man?
You're I'm just looking at the first guy that has the vote. That's all I was looking at.
I'm teasing.
I was looking at place one.
Yes. No, I do not have a problem, and Ms. Marlowe
Man.
knows that.
Anybody?
Not at all.
All right, so what we're going to do
Yes, sir.
is after we get through these comments, we will go ahead and amend the agenda again and add that resolution. So,
Thank you.
and I guarantee you it'll pass tonight.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Pretty safe in saying that.
Thank you. Do I stay, or do I go get in car line?
You can go get in car.
You can go about your business.
All is well, Allison.
I would just go about your business and not worry about it.
All is well.
Sleep well, and thank you. And that was really good information that you said about the Girl Scouts and the projects. It has to be perpetual.
Yes, sir.
And giving every year.
It does.
Not static, okay. Didn't
Yes.
know that, learned that tonight.
Oh, cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have
Thank
a
you,
good afternoon.
Allison.
Merry Christmas.
God bless you for what you do.
Thank you. All right, bye.
All right, so do we need to stop?
I
and-
was asking Mayor if she's through with her report. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I am, yep.
Okay.
Done.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to add a resolution to give permission to the Girl Scout troop. Do we need this Girl Scout troop number? Do you have that?
8017.
Yeah, Girl Scout Troop 8017, there it is. for permission to use the public space adjacent to Julian's for their annual cookie sales. That
Yeah,
should do
I
it.
make a motion to amend the agenda to add the resolution allowing Girl Scout Troop 8017 to sell cookies out in front of, in public spot by Julian's.
January 7th.
Yeah, starting January 7th.
Yeah, that's it. All right, second.
Okay. All right, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to add to the agenda, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. All right, well, that will be item number 30. All right, public participation. Item 5 is a public hearing, so you'll have an opportunity to speak during item 5 if you want to speak to that. Items 6 through now 30, if you'd like to address the council concerning those agenda items, if you'd come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, you will be given 3 minutes. If you have something to speak to the council on that's not on the agenda, you'll have that opportunity at the conclusion of today's meeting. So, I'll open it up for public participation on agenda items. Public 5, we will get to 5. There'll be a separate public hearing for that. Thank you for asking. Okay, anyone for items 6 through 30? Okay, hearing none, I will close public participation on agenda items. Move on to council comments. Councilman Martin.
Well, I want to wish everybody do I have 3 minutes? You put the 3 minutes on.
No, you
put
have
3
1.
minutes on. Come on, John. What's the deal? I get the message. I want to wish everybody a very blessed holiday season. Merry Christmas. Be grateful for where you are. Be content for where you are, and enjoy the things that you have that are around you, because life is like a vapor, guys. It could be gone tomorrow. So smile, have a happy heart, and love the people that are around you. That's all I have.
Councilman Robinson?
After that, I don't have any comment, thank you.
Now you're going to follow that up, right? Councilman Boone?
Merry Christmas and be safe out there.
I'll just add, Merry Christmas. Thank you for those words of wisdom, Corey, and Merry Christmas to everybody that works for the city of Fairhope, and those that'll be working during the holidays to make sure that everybody is taken care of. We appreciate your service. Mayor, we appreciate your service. Merry Christmas to you and Jenny and your office there. Thank you. Thank you all, you department heads. Please pass that on to your workers, if you will, for us. With that, I'll close council comments, and we will move on to a public hearing. This is an ordinance to amend zoning ordinance number 1253 at the request of the applicant, S-Core USA, acting on behalf of the owner, Stephen W. Corbett, to rezone the property from B2 General Business District to a PUD, a planned unit development to be known as Legends at Point Clear. The property is approximately 13.8 acres, is located on the west side of Greeno Road South, north of Old Battles Road. Would somebody please introduce the ordinance?
I'll introduce the ordinance, Council President.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Council
Simmons.
President. I'm going to kind of show where the location is and then give a quick update before I start the slides on kind of how we got here. But this is a PUD development property that is currently zoned B2. It is, as you see on the right-hand side of the screen, an undeveloped piece of property that's mostly wooded just north, and I've got an additional to kind of show you the surroundings. This is just north of the Publix at 104 in Twin Beach, or Battles Road. Behind Old Battles Village, abuts that to the west. And just a quick, this did come with a recommendation from staff and Planning Commission for approval. However, there was 4 sets of recommendations, and before I can get started, to remove some of that clarity, and I hope to breeze through this in the slides, the staff report originally went out with a recommendation of denial because building heights did not meet our standards. They were proposing taller buildings. It is a PUD, they can ask it, but we could not support that, did not support that when the staff reports went out for Planning Commission. They adjusted those between that staff report and the Planning Commission, which removed our recommendation. So it does come to you with a recommendation for approval. And kind of get into the site now. This is a currently zoned B2, which allows commercial properties, anything from your your big box stores, convenience stores, fast food restaurants, the more intense commercial we have. There was a proposal originally to rezone this to R5, which is a high-density multifamily. The property to the west of Publix was zoned by Baldwin County as a high-density, up to 15 units. We could not get behind the straight multifamily, so the plan was changed and altered many times. And this is probably shows the best example of what's happening. Adjacent to 180, Highway 98, Greeno Road, on the left-hand side of the screen, the first buildings are one-story commercial. The goal is to kind of create a main street, leaving the public center, and then a two-story mixed-use building with commercial on the ground floor, residential above. And then the 4 buildings to the west are multifamily. Just going to flip through some of the pictures. We can come back to those. One key component of this, there was trying to get some form-based codes and some rules to see how these govern. We couldn't get behind. So what you see is to be built. These are not theoretic buildings. These are to be built in substantial conformance of the plans and elevations that we see within this PUD. The location, when we look at any develop on the comp plan and the most recent comp plan, the new public site kind of adjusted our way of thinking. We've always had village and commercial nodes since the early 2000s in our long-range plan. We evaluated this intersection where the Publix is. It happened as properties were unzoned, and did see that as the only new node we added in the comp plan. So in that sense, it does meet the comprehensive plan. I know there's concerns about adding apartments and things like that everywhere around town. And if we're going to do it where is important to us, so this is appropriate location, we should certainly start. I am getting a little concerned with the volume. You know, is there a market for it? You don't want things to sit open, so we're closely monitoring some of the ones that have recently come online. Parking is met. They're meeting the minimums and not going over the maximums, and somewhere in between with some shared parking. The street frontage is like we said, it's kind of creating a main street instead of just your apartment parking lots behind a commercial fast food a place. So there is a pedestrian component to this that we really evolved. Base zoning for the commercial units is B2. However, we've talked about allowed uses. This is a PUD. So as advertised, there's a restrictive list of uses: convenience store, automobile service station, garden center, daycare, automobile repair, and list goes on, are not allowed within this project. It's limited to kind of those retail businesses, restaurants, offices that would go along with the pedestrian goal of the commercial space as it transitions to the multifamily. The elevations you see on the screen here are the one-story commercial. And again, while there's some notes throughout, we didn't make the every page get rewritten. This is the building that is being proposed to be built. There will be a process if the zoning passes, or in this form or any amended form. This will require a multiple occupancy project review through the Planning Commission that will look at some more detailed information. However, we do have the buildings as attached to the zoning. The 2-story is on the right. That's the mixed-use buildings, commercial with residential above. And then the multifamily in the rear is shown here. And we redlined this one. The buildings were changed to meet the 35-foot height limit.
Can you go back to that? I want
Yes,
a
sir.
question about that. 35 feet to where?
The mean point of the roof. That's the way our ordinance is today. It was changed. I've been here 5.5, so about 6.5 years ago. Used to, height was measured from the front door at the adjacent roadway or sidewalk. It was changed to the mean roof height, so it did give a little bit different, where it used to be 35 feet to the peak of the roof ridge line or peak of the roof. It's now the mean height. So that, what you see there is this line, let me see if where's my mouse? This line here is the midpoint of that roof pitch.
Is that a fourth floor there, or is that just
No, it is 3
decorative?
floors, third floor. There's some architectural details to kind of break that up. The first plans we saw, you know, I think had a kind of monolithic roof, so that was some architectural details to break that up.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hunter, go back there, a couple of slides. It said something about the uses, something about automotive services. What was I seeing?
Yes, sir. Those are, so when we have a PUD, we want a base zoning district to use when something is not explicitly stated within the PUD. So B2 was chosen. However, there was uses within B2 we did not want to see in this development, and the applicant has agreed to. And the list you see on the screen would not be allowed in the commercial
Okay.
spaces.
Would not be allowed.
Yes, sir.
I just want to clarify.
That's correct. So, connectivity and buffers, and that is a small picture. I'm going to go up so that I think you can see this better with this image. When Old Battles Village, as y'all know, connectivity is very important in the city of Fairhope. There is a stubbed road there ready to connect to. Old Battles did provide for that. However, as part of this, and there is a very unique feature behind this at the backside of this property, and you can see it here. There is essentially it's a stream bed that's kind of silted in. There's not standing water there all the time, but when it rains, it does, you know, you get some heavy moving water back in that area. There was a wetlands study for that site. We've even hired our own to go out. It's very unique. So there's been an agreement to put a buffer, what you see in that hatched area, that is a do not disturb buffer within that area. Because of that, when we have connectivity, unless there's an environmental feature, we want to see those roads connected. But we did support, in this case, not connecting that. However, and this is probably the best screen to see it, there were some park lands and things connected on the public site. There's a dog park and some other areas. So this dash line actually represents a boardwalk that will be wide enough for bikes, golf carts, things like that. So there is some connectivity. It's not vehicular, so you won't see cars driving through there. That way, the wooden boardwalk can be built and stay out of that flood zone.
What's that to the south? Is that the county zoned R5 there that they're connecting to on the south side?
This one, no, sir. It is this piece right here. That's not being connected to it. There's an easement through there.
Okay. What's to the east? What's that? Is that the
This is the
backside of
pond
Publix?
behind Publix. If you go back on the back right corner.
Basically goes to the shopping center then?
Yes,
okay.
this serves the residents here, the shopping center, and that was a lot of conversation within Old Battles Village residents on the connectivity, how important that is to the city, and, you know, the being able to come here without getting on the road, even if you're on a golf cart or bike, that keeps some of the traffic away from the intersection there, so, that was, pretty important to staff and the planning commission
So,
to maintain
Hunter,
that.
going back to the multiple occupancy, is this something that we have a need for, to have multiple occupancy at this time, as far as the density is concerned, because the Publix and the workers at the Publix? Like, you said that you were gonna monitor whether these be filled or not. Did they not, like, you know, I'm just curious about the density and why we're looking at multiple occupancy at this time. And I know that's on the developers, but really, I'm trying to see if
And
there's a
I
need.
said two things to let me make sure I'm clear. There is a future, if this passes in the zoning, there will be a multiple occupancy project that is reviewed under the subdivision regulations that'll look at more detailed. For the multifamily, and I think I misspoke there, so for the multifamily
Okay.
component, I mean, that's something we look at. If we're gonna have those dense, it's more about the geographic area, and that is called for in the comp plan. Now, timing on some of those, it's we're reviewing against the comp plan, and if it's there and allowed, that's what we're looking at. So the positive thing that I think did evolve out of this was a transition, and that's what we want in the comp plan.
Yeah.
Near that intersection, we want the denser, more intense commercial uses transitioning to a denser multifamily to a less dense multifamily. And that's, if you take this, it's called the transect. If you take that through this property, that's kind of what you're seeing.
Yeah, I don't mind the multifamily, but, you know, I just, with what we have, you know, the multi-occupancy it seems to bother me for whatever reason. That bothers me right now with the density and infrastructure and things of that nature at this time. I have to say that.
Okay.
You
What
know?
was the utilities review of this?
That's, yeah,
Okay.
I mean.
What was the
So
result of that?
typically, we don't even look at utilities during a zoning that much. That's
I
the
understand.
zoning.
I'm
that
just
We smart up, know now.
We
We
are.
might better look at that.
We are. So that, the multiple occupancy project is a review under our subdivision regulations, just like so if somebody was creating 800 lots, but they're doing it multiple units.
Yeah.
So that is where the details and commitments will come from. So if we, as a part of a PUD, if we need a master development agreement that spells out cost, timelines, things like that, we can do that. We did, our utilities were involved in this review. We did ask them to be a part of that. So they have kind of got this in the plans. I think this has been discussed for well over a year.
Well, with all
So,
due respect, you want us to rezone this to a PUD with 130 units, and I say you want us to, you're
thank
being
you.
unbiased. That'd be something I'd get upset over, isn't it?
Right.
You are presenting this, it seems to me that would be a big component of this. And once you rezone it, you know, the horse is out of the barn. And you got to give them a certificate saying that you can provide them with water and sewer, and
that happens at the
utilities may not have
subdivision. Yeah.
verified that yet.
Well, they did, and they won't give that availability until the subdivision case. So,
It's too late once it's a PUD, I think. And I'm not trying to pick sides, yay or nay, but it just seemed like a critical component of that.
and there is an opportunity.
Doesn't seem like it is a critical component.
To create it's something we've never really done at this stage, but we can create a development agreement that spells out timelines, cost, and things like this. It just prolongs a lot of the reviews.
Yeah, I just think that where we are with the information that we have, and for us to continue with smart growth, I think those particular details, God is in the details. And I think if we're looking for something this dense, then we have to have those things at this particular time where we are
Well,
at this stage.
and-
You know
and-
what I mean?
yeah,
I
sure.
mean, that's just my opinion, but
Well, and that's not just for our protection. I mean, it's
Yes.
the developer or the property owner who is gonna expend
exactly right.
funds that they may or may not be able to recoup if it's ultimately determined that this availability does not exist.
Right.
And so I understand that it wasn't done before, and I understand why it wasn't done before. But in the world we're living in now, with the knowledge we have about the weaknesses in our infrastructure and the needs for growth and improvement and all the things we've been trying to do and catch up with, I think approving a PUD with this level of density without having that information on the front end seems like a mistake to me.
And let me make sure that there is the capacity there. And we can check with all of our utilities here. They have vetted the capacity is there. The details, what's the pipe made of? Where's the pipe gonna be located? All that stuff has not been vetted and will not be until what's the final cost? You know, that hasn't been.
Well-
But has the capacity there?
But here's another question.
Yep.
The capacity as City of Fairhope's population and capacity exists today, it's been done. This takes 2-3 years to get built and processed out. In the meantime, the umpteen thousand houses that have already come through the pipeline get built in or around this area and start
exactly right.
taken from that same capacity, is it still gonna be available in 3 years when this project comes up?
So-
And that's a roll of the dice I'm not willing to take as I'm sitting here right now.
And we're trying to build a reserve capacity because all the experts say,
Yes.
you know, you need to have not just what you need to serve, but you got to have a little bit of reserve because you get a well that goes down or something, then you have to be able to,
That's
you have to
exactly
have a
right.
backup.
That's exactly right. And I know, we talk about this, and this is no offense to anybody, but this is what we're here. But, you know, when we say we have the capacity, going back to Councilman Robinson, did we deviate the variables? Did we add the ladder to make it, when we tested it or put it through the flow chart, did we add all those stressors on it? Or did we just do what we normally do to see if we would have the capacity? You know, my point is, I want to know that we have reserves plus with all the stressors from what we have on the books already. You know, that's what I would like to see whenever we do the flow chart test for the capacity, you know, the model testing for the capacity. I would like to see all kinds of variables at their peak to be determined whether if we put this on the system, whatever year we come up with a detail, if we stress the system, if this well goes down or this well goes down, even though it only happens for a day, where will we be? And I want to know that knowledge, and I think we should know that knowledge before we continue to add capacity and density onto what we already have. You know, that's just, you know, I think that's smart growth, you know?
Okay. If you would like to, as the utility.
No, it's not you, Hunter. We're not.
No.
Yeah,
No,
we're-
no.
we're not.
And I will say that, you know, we have a water model now, so we're able to plug this in to see where we would be from a water standpoint. We have a preliminary on the wastewater treatment plant capacity study that we're trying to vet, make sure that it's a good product before we turn it over and, you know, let everybody see it. The other thing is we still have the ordinance in place where we can't, you know, this is one of the developments where we would have to, the council would have to come back and we'd have to talk about sewer. Because we're not allowing new sewer customers right now. So if and when y'all decide to do that, we would give an availability letter based on when all the improvements are in place or whatever development agreement we do. So it could be where we come back and we say this isn't available until the end of 26 or 27. It's going to depend on some other infrastructure upgrades that have to happen. So this isn't going to build out today or tomorrow, but like, you know, Councilman Robinson said, there are other factors at play, like other things that build out. But again, that's why almost every council meeting, we have an infrastructure project in front of the council to approve, because we know that there are things like this coming through that if we want to serve them, and we are in the utility business, that we can't take our foot off the gas and have to continue the improvements that we have. And again, that is also partnering with those developers to make sure they are also, you know, improving our system as we are able to serve them.
We do have to have a public hearing. Have you got some more to add, Hunter?
Yeah, if it's okay to, just kind of running through the green space, how that was coordinated with the courtyards plazas. There was a buffer created on that side. Landscape plans, there was some revised landscape plans and concerns on the north-hand side, so there was an additional buffer included there. Here's the revised plans, and we did get some sections of how that would be filled in. There was some parking removed on that side with some additional buffers created. We did recommend approval. It came as 4-1 from the Planning Commission with approval for the staff to recommend approval with 5 conditions. The buildings are to be built in substantial conformance to the plans presented in the Master Development Plan. The 2 lots should be platted as 1 lot. We already talked about the restricted uses of B2. I won't go through that list again. Ownership and maintenance of the roads, sidewalks, and landscape will be clarified with the MOP and our development agreement. And what we're there's a lot of paving, custom paving in the roads we don't want to maintain as a city, so there'll probably be a cooperative maintenance agreements. And then multifamily residential cannot be built without the commercial components. To this end, construction will happen in 1 phase. Building phases will be reviewed during the multiple occupancy project review. And if y'all were okay letting the public hearing happen, we can discuss how you want to proceed or how we can answer those questions.
Yeah, we have time afterwards, too. All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing on this proposal. If you would like to speak to this, if you'd come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Council, Mayor. My name is Paul Marcinko, Jade Consulting. We're the civil engineer for the project, represent the developer. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. I want to thank staff as well as utility staff, planning staff, for everything that we've been through thus far. Planning Commission's comments were very useful. We've gone through and made these revisions, through multiple revisions with the city to address many of these comments. I hear your concerns about utilities. I'm here to answer any questions you have about that, as well as anything that may come up in the public hearing.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome to sit up front if you want and wait. Maybe we may have some questions. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm Amanda Cushman, and the address 7878A Pale Moon Court. I'm to the north. So when you look at the map, you see that northern property, that would be us. So I spoke at the last meeting for the Planning Commission. I had some concerns, including buffer, which we've spoken about, because it is a 3-story building that will be a few feet from my house, and it'll be towering over us. If we had some sort of buffer zone before, I know they were saying rose bushes, but, a rose bush and doesn't really cover 3 stories. And so now he's saying that there's going to be maybe some more of the tree line saved, possibly, but I was going to ask about that and had concerns about that. Flooding, of course, I know they're not saying this is a flood zone. I beg to differ. In that area that they're talking about where they're not building, when it rains, it gets above 5 feet. So you're talking about if you have a 6-foot-tall man where they're going to be building this walkway, there's no way that would survive it. It takes down trees back there. That area just all the water comes from 3 different directions. That used to be Point Clear Creek before the 4-laning of Highway 98. So it's a large flood area back there. So we're also worried about the land after it's partially leveled, graded, whatever, and the trees are gone, it's asphalt, concrete, and that is not absorbing all that water that flows, then it's just going to be us in a fishbowl being, inundated with the water. I know they're building retention pond, but it's in one area. I don't believe it's enough. Another reason I'm worried about that too is because about 20 years ago, the property owners, this area that you're talking about, my property, that property that belongs to this future development, and the property north to me that they've already tried to secure to build more apartment complex. So that's already been surveyed north of me, those 17 acres by the developer, and it's already been marked with trees to be leveled. I've already spoken to the property owner about that. They were in the process of purchasing it to extend this and build more development. So that 13 acres is the beginning. The 17 acres beside us or to the north of us is the next phase. So it's not going to be just these, apartment complexes. When we're talking about down the road, it's, there's other things that are supposedly in the works according to the property owner now. And we've seen them marking trees there too. They've already marked the trees south of us, the property that we're talking about, but they've already started marking trees on the north side when they were surveying for this acquisition of that property by the developer. So it won't just be the 13 acres, it'll be additional 17 acres that will be adjacent to also the old battles. So I was worried about that. Also, so 20 years ago, the property owners, those 3 property owners, the ones that we're talking about now, the developer, they didn't own it, but the original property owners. Our property and the property that's north to us, that's going to be this next phase of the development, those property owners were having trouble with flooding. And so some of the property owners met with ALDOT 20 years ago about maybe circumventing the water because it was inundating the properties. It had not done that before. Previous to this, years before this, when 98 was built or widened, there wasn't a problem. Point Clear Creek flowed behind, but it didn't have the flooding coming from Highway 98. But we were told 20 years ago that the Corps of Engineers, when they built Highway 98, they noticed something very special about what this is called, the old timers called Point Clear Gully. That's the area that we live in. That's their property, our property, property north. It was known as Point Clear Gully because it's a gully back there. So they said that this Point Clear Gully, what they noticed about it, was that from the north on 98 and from the south on 98, that it kind of goes at an angle eventually, and it filters, it goes down, and it ends, or it meets at a point, a lowest point, and that lowest point was Point Clear Gully. And that the property owners had to take that water. That's how it was going to be that was how it was constructed. And so if you look at their property to the north of us, to the south of us where it's being built on, there's a pipe. And it runs underneath Highway 98. And it takes the water that goes south of 98, and all that water goes into that pipe, and it goes right onto their property, straight onto it. And then to the north of us, that property owner, it's a natural slant of the land. All that water, if you go on a really rainy day, you'll see it just flooding into that property. And it goes out toward the back. And it also flows into their property.
Now, I don't want to interrupt you for a moment because I want to give everybody a chance. How are we doing on time?
I'm sorry.
There.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'll just end, but anyway, they said that you couldn't circumvent that. So I'm trying to find out, have y'all spoken to AlDOT? And since there was such a problem with it 20 years ago, nothing has changed on Highway 98. According to the Corps of Engineers, Point Clear Gully had to remain Point Clear Gully, and that water had to flow in the natural direction because it was a natural spot.
So what we'll do there is.
Has AlDOT been
When everybody gets
contacted?
through speaking, we'll give the engineer an opportunity to, if they choose to answer
Right.
that question.
Okay.
We'll give them an opportunity to answer that.
Okay, so I'll let somebody else speak. But anyway, those were my questions, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, still open. Anyone else? Okay.
Me once again, you know me. Lou Seamer, 116 Easton Circle. My favorite subject, water, and I think this young lady spoke very well about the issues. It seems to me that I agree with the council's general conversation that there should be a surplus. Remember, the Publix was built out on 181 and 104. I think it sat empty for a long period of time, possibly a year, because of a lack of the ability to supply utilities. And there was an interesting article in the news within the last week that Saraland nixed a large development in their community. And that caught my ear because I heard that you can't prevent a developer or an owner from developing a property that he owns or they own. And but yet Saraland had done it. I was told that if you do that, you're just asking for a lawsuit, that the developer will sue you. I can't believe that the state of Alabama would let a city or a township would run them into bankruptcy if they didn't allow a development that they couldn't supply utilities to. So short and sweet today, but it seems to me that we might want to have a resolution requiring a surplus in utilities and the ability to be able to drain a property. Should be a resolution for that before we consider any additional PUD or residential development. The words spoken tonight about might and probably, they're not reassuring to me. Thank you, City Council and Mayor. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Danielle Ingram. I'd just like to reiterate the need for
And
the
can I
city.
get you- I'm sorry, for the record, can I get your address too?
Yes, 8565 Gale Row Lane.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd just like to reiterate the need for the city to resolve, not just provide projections and models or loose goals for our current red line water infrastructure issues. We seem to be putting the cart before the horse here. I don't believe any council member in good conscience can approve this rezoning at this time. I also have concerns about the schools nearby. I don't think that council members in good conscience can approve a high-rise level near a high school. I do see that as being a threat to our high school students, potentially, and I'd like to minimize any threat at all, if at all possible, because I will have children
Can you
attending these
expound on the
schools.
threat? Why, I'm sorry.
It would be a high-rise level. If someone wanted to look through a scope and look at vehicles, look at students coming in and out, they could. Also, the soccer fields that are being used at the Fairhope High School, there's already a lot of traffic of people using those, staying out all times of the night, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, using those fields during the summertime. I am concerned with the safety of people using these, these residencies and walking over and using the soccer fields and just walking around that area. But anyways, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. The gentleman in the back.
I won't need a full 3 minutes. My name is Jeremy Ledlow. I'm at 233 Garrison Boulevard, Old Battles Village. So we kind of bump up back behind this. Rode down Highway 44 today, that brand-new massive apartment complex. Whole lot of empty parking spaces in that apartment complex. How many apartments do we need in Fairhope? Do we want to be a bedroom community, or do we want to be Mobile and have apartments everywhere? There's a reason we moved from Spanish Fort to Fairhope, and part of that was all the apartment buildings that were going on. Some of the infrastructure questions, yeah, we spent half our summer taking showers with no water pressure. So what's going to happen when we add multi-residential facilities right beside us? You know, we're already dealing with a lack of water pressure. Traffic, safety concern for the school, traffic. My biggest safety concern. I've got 2 kids in high school. I do car pickup. It's impossible to safely get out and turn left out of the school after you do car pickup. I've sent emails, hadn't gotten better. I can count on both hands the number of times I've seen police out there during school traffic, during school pickup. It's ridiculous. Not just there, but the traffic that we have experienced since the Publix went in has doubled, if not tripled, on Old Battles Road, because now there's a reason to come out that way. All of this stuff, we keep putting stuff out there, just drives traffic that way. Schools, what are we doing with the schools? We're adding 120 new residences. Can the schools handle them? Hospitals, what are we doing? We're adding 120 new residents. Hospitals, they can't keep up. If we don't look at our infrastructure, we are going to be in trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Sir, do you care to address the drainage question? That's up to you.
I'd like to speak on it a bit. So this development has the stream in the rear, or dry drain as our consultant is calling it. We've worked with staff to inspect that. The city's, I don't want to call her by name, but the city's consultant has also been out there to look at it, looking for a bed bank condition. Is this a perennial stream? Of course not. It doesn't have water all the time. Is it an ephemeral stream? There were some conversations about the boardwalk, I believe, and the height of that, and the water going through. This is not a flood zone. We will have to design that boardwalk to be high enough to allow the water to flow underneath and not prevent that whatsoever. We're providing a 50-foot buffer off of the middle of that stream. So all of our grading, all of the detention outside of that will be outside of that buffer and not impact that stream at all. So any upstream water coming through, Old Battles off to one side has a detention pond that was built in the middle of the stream somehow. 98, water is coming that direction as well. All that water will flow through as well. As far as our site conditions of the drainage on site, pre and post will be looked at. Stormwater pond that's shown will be the holding pond for that water. We may also have some areas as well for underground if it's necessary. This is kind of, someone mentioned cart before the horse. This is really the horse that pulls the cart. Everything about the cart is where the engineering design goes through. The horse is what God gave us to pull us through. So we're here to present this PUD to get approval so that then we can do the details of all the utilities, of all the drainage, of everything that's required to make this project work. One thing about utilities was mentioned about the water pressures. We talked to the utility department. We very likely would have boosters in the buildings to allow higher water pressure in the building itself. Publix was a development that we did to the south with sewer improvements at Publix. There's looped water through Publix as well. And there's other things I could talk about as well. But if y'all have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Happy to.
And just in defense of the citizens, I don't think they really worried about your water pressure. I think they're worried about their water pressure.
Understood.
No doubt.
Understood.
So, for years now, we've talked about kind of environmental things as far as our development. And we see some people trying to do it, but for the most part, not as much I would like to see. But some of the things that we could do that they're doing across the nation is not putting runoff, meaning they have situations, impermeable surfaces to where the water percolates and goes back into the ground. Is that something that you guys are willing to do, knowing that this is a swell, knowing that this is going into a particular gully, and we do have a lot of runoff, and once you add all that concrete, water's going to come from places that you didn't really recognize before. But just putting it out in the public, those are the kind of things that,
Yes, sir.
those are mitigating factors,
Yes, sir.
So.
We have that LID. Is there any LID techniques being utilized here? Does this trigger LID requirements, Hunter? Low impact development.
And there are pavers selected in some of the roads, so there's a little bit of the impervious. Right now, and this was, at one point in time, 10 LID techniques were required on every development. Those were revised because not every size property was the same. It was hard to do that if you're on a quarter acre. So it was revised to allow the engineer of record to determine what those would be, which essentially became a detention pond. That has been a conversation during our planning commission meetings to somewhere in between 1 and 10 is the right answer. And that we just had we have a lunch and learn with a couple of our planning commissioners. Mayor joined us, and that was one of the trying to, over the next year, what is our priorities? And that was one of the top things on the list to get those subdivision regulations amended to require more, or at least there's a vetting process where it's just not up to the engineer of
I
record.
thought we had a trigger for that.
We don't, but that's my point.
That would
That's
be
why I'm
the
bringing it up.
subdivision regulation. The MOP
Yeah.
would require the LIDs, but we do not require multiples. It's up
Right.
to the engineer at this stage.
And I'm just saying, we need to readdress that, and we need to make that a part of our standards. As much as we're growing, and the information that we have, it would be less of us to not implement those things going forward and make those small changes. That's just my opinion.
Council, comments, questions for staff or for the engineer?
I don't think I have anything else now.
I want to make maybe just a couple of observations, and this is a big concern of mine. The PUD has just become an instrument to be a catch-all, and this is my opinion. You may not agree with that. I believe that every PUD that comes across our desk has a lot of density, high density, and then we're thrown things such as, well, it was B2, and if you go with B2, they can put a gas station, a convenience store, all these terms that invoke fear in us to approve, and some of them are not completely unfounded. Now, I mean, truthfully, that's not necessarily unfounded, but we hear it every time as this is a better alternative to B2. I think that, Hunter, you did make a good point on your transition, and you know, and what the design, what the master plan calls for, a center, and then a higher density, and then lower density. I think that you could make an argument there's a single-family residential to the west, there's something proposed to the north, there's something to the south, but we still are in a bad habit, I think, of these PUDs being a whatever they want type of zoning, and I'm extremely hesitant. I mean, part of me wants to put a moratorium on PUDs and say, you're going to go with the underlying zoning. I'm sorry, that crosses my mind. I just want to put that out there for any reaction from council at all, if anybody ever thinks that same thing, but I do. We have, and not only that, PUDs that we approve today seem to be changed when they sit idle for a year or two or three, and they come back and they want to change them.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's the one thing that we do have control over is as this council, that is, and that is rezoning, and that's the opportunity to put those things in check. And one of them is the population growth and the density of our population. And I've seen worse. I've seen worse than this. I've seen a lot higher density proposed. But I do want to think about that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it's not the project this is not personal to the project. You know, we understand that. My concern is for our constituents in the community as far as smart growth and to make sure that we get it right. And that's the bottom line. And I'm sure these guys agree with that, you know.
Well, I think our citizens would
Yes.
wholeheartedly agree with that. And we're not, you know, there are people out there that don't want one more house built, one more apartment, one more anything built here. We hear that a lot, and I don't think the council's that firm that, you know, we don't allow a metered growth and smart growth, so that we consider all that. Okay. Anything else? Thank you all. We will let this lie over for consideration at our next scheduled council meeting. Item number 6 is final adoption of an ordinance establishing impact fees on new development in the city of Fairhope and repealing and replacing ordinance number 1625, which was introduced. This was introduced at the December 9th, 2024 city council meeting. Eric, if you would just give us a quick, we're pretty familiar with this. We know that we've had professionals study this and make professional recommendations to us on our needs. So if you want to just give a quick overview for us.
Sure, yeah. Council Mayor, we have an impact fee ordinance, and just kind of to recap, the state gave enabling legislation in 2007, allowing for impact fees to be charged to new construction and growth. The city has been doing that since 2007. One of the things that go into this, you know, impact fees aren't something that you can just decide you're going to do. They have to be based on very specific data. So we hired our impact fee consultant to do a demographic analysis of the area, and they came in with a new fee schedule. And I'm sorry, I don't have my presentation I had last time.
We've got it all in front of us. Eric,
But just to let folks know,
Appreciate it.
basically, all impact fees are going up. So that's just kind of where we are. But, you know, we discussed it, and this will apply to new construction for new houses and new commercial buildings on previously unbuilt lots. And there is a prorated provision for increased capacity for any businesses or any residents that increase the number of occupants or the capacity of that structure. So there's a form.
Basis of bedrooms.
Yeah, well, on the residential side, as we mentioned, impact fees really have nothing to do with the value of the house. It's based on the number of bedrooms, which relates to the number of people in the house, which is the number of cars on the road, the amount of utilities, or all, how much police, fire, all those things you need,
And only within the municipal limit.
and only within the city limits. That is correct.
The
I
key.
heard, they brought up about the schools earlier. I want to reiterate two things. Impact fees cannot be assessed or collected for public schools because they are owned by the Baldwin County Board of Education. They are not City of Fairhope schools, so we legally cannot give impact fee money to schools.
Just
Yeah.
real quick, then
Yes, sir.
tell the uses, what the potential uses are. And there's
Sure.
formulas for how.
Yeah, there are.
that's-
Yes,
How
sir.
that's divided among those allowed uses. Just
That is
real quick.
correct. Yeah, impact fees can be collected and expended on 4 different categories. One is parks and recreation, police, fire, and transportation. Those are the 4 categories that we can legally collect and spend impact fee money on. For residential, the majority of that money does go to Parks and Rec because that's more people in our town, that's more kids at our ball field, that's more people walking on the public, public spaces.
But all that's set on.
But it's all
tried
set-
and true formulas.
That is correct.
That the consultant provides to us.
Correct, and yeah, they
the
did,
direction,
they
right?
did it's like an 80-page, very detailed demographic study of everything, and these are based on numbers. This is not something that we can
Not a
say,
wish
this is
list.
what we want.
Science.
This is what it is. That is correct. It's math and science. So,
Any questions for Eric? And we do appreciate it, and Tishler Bice, we appreciate them, and I think.
I'll just
they
let
did
you know,
hard
and
work.
they're,
giving us
they're
all the
probably the
information.
preeminent firm in the country at doing this. They are extremely good at what they do, and they have really been good to work with.
And none of us like to raise anything, impact fees included. However, with our costs of going up, every year in inflation, unfortunately, it's inevitable, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Council, I will entertain a motion for final adoption.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for final adoption. Any further discussion? Okay, clerk, will you call the question?
Council President, place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 4,
Aye.
place 5.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Okay, item 7 is an ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance number 1575 to protect the public health, safety, and welfare by providing policy and procedure for park usage within the city of Fairhope. Somebody like to introduce the ordinance, please?
I'll introduce it.
Okay. Who will speak to that? Ms. Page. Settling down for you yet? Are you gearing up for New Year's?
Gearing up for New Year's. Okay, we spoke at this at the last meeting for 6 and also, 7. So our ordinance here for the park, we went over those updates for that twice, I believe, in a work session. So if y'all have any questions, we've cleaned up this policy. We've added a few things to the current ordinance, or we have made updates to the current ordinance. Some major kind of, no major updates to the ordinance, I believe. Fees have, I believe, been adjusted, and we did put something in there for organizations or individuals will be limited to requesting park rental twice per calendar year.
2 times, right?
Correct.
Yep.
And we also, it was something about the food trucks or something, we stopped that, or?
We did. That is in there. We have also included a resident and non-resident rate and did a slight increase to our hourly rate. Yes, no subleasing. That caveat has also been added in there.
Yeah, I think that was a very good change.
So. Any questions?
Any questions for Paige? Okay. All right, hearing no further discussion, we will let this lie over for final adoption at the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Thank you, Paige.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paige. Okay, moving on to item 8, which is a request to approve the 2025 regular city council meetings. We vetted this to the extent that we can. I think that, things inevitably change throughout the year. Things come up, pandemics, oil spills, you name it. So hopefully we can stick to this list, but we can always amend this again at any time that's required to do that. So I would like to enter, thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2025 regular city council meetings. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item number 9 is a resolution to repeal and replace resolution number 3039-18, setting forth the rules and regulations for the operation of the Fairhope Municipal Civic Center Complex located at 161 North Section Street, Fairhope, Alabama, as amended. Paige, is that you again?
Welcome back.
Got to get those grouped together next time for you. Sorry.
One thing I do want to note, and I told Jenny prior to this meeting, is we do have a few little formatting things that we're going to correct in this copy that y'all have. But yes, again, you'll just see that we have cleaned up this in our resolution for the Civic Center. We have increased fees with a resident and a non-resident rate, and trying to think if there's anything else we have that major that has stuck out, excuse me, in here.
Was there a limit on how many times?
Not on the Civic Center.
Okay.
There was a timing issue that we discussed the last time as far as did we allow grandfathered in?
We did, and that is going to remain. So that we did not take out, I believe it was, where was it in here? On page 2, E, groups that have had annual events in the auditorium for at least 5 consecutive years. So we did add that they have to be paid within 4 months prior to the requested date. I think that was the only thing we added there.
That's right.
I'm not proposing it if you didn't put it in, because I know we've talked about this at length, but is there a sublease clause in here?
I believe there is in both. There isn't in the auditorium. Yes, no. Because we do have business expos.
I know we had a couple.
And
It's
there's
not an issue, though, right? It's not-
antiques,
Yeah,
antique shows, so.
yeah. That's kind of what I thought. This is not the same type of issues that we've had at some of the parks. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
we took out the VHS option for the extra equipment.
What about Beta?
That was
Okay.
more embarrassing.
Be a lot of heartbroken renters out there.
All right, any questions for Paige,
I make a
council?
motion to approve the resolution.
Okay, we have a motion to repeal and place the resolution. All right, we have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. These look great. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 10 is a resolution. The council hereby authorizes Mayor Sullivan on behalf of the city of Fairhope to execute a purchase agreement and all closing documents related to the sale of the Anna T. Jean School property. You see the 2 parcel numbers there from the Baldwin County Board of Education. It's kind of a big deal today. It's been in negotiations for quite some time. We do have plans for that to lease that to another organization for the betterment of the community. There will be some playground spaces there, and there are limitations on tied to this sale, or what we can and can do with it. It should be a public use, always kept as a public use. So I think that the purposes that we have in mind meet those. And also let you know that we're getting it for a pretty good deal at $100. I'll give $200 for it right now.
It's sold.
Okay, any questions? Mayor, could you answer any questions on this property? We also have our attorney here to answer any questions.
Council President, if I may.
Sure.
Yeah, so we did carve out correctly what they would establish once and if we voted for the lease to occur?
The second lease that y'all will see in January, it is a carve-out. We've met with that organization
Yes.
and their architect to
They have
talk
a
about that.
footprint, yeah.
We have a map
Yeah.
that y'all will also see as part of that lease.
Yeah, that'd be a second step
Yeah.
towards
I
it.
I understand, I'm just making sure that that's on, yeah, okay. All right, very good.
You'll get to consider that in January.
All right, very good.
Okay. Good questions, though. Any other questions? And the full resolution, it's pretty short, is in your binder, page 156. Okay. Hearing no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to execute the purchase agreement.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. All right, item 11 is a resolution. The council hereby authorizes Mayor Sullivan to execute a contract for professional services for closing cost and title insurance on the Anna T. Jean School land purchase with Kopesky and Britt with a cost not to exceed $10,000. And I can address that. I mean, obviously, we have to close on this. Mr. Britt has represented the city in numerous of these property purchases. I don't anticipate it costing $10,000, but we didn't want to bring it back before the council in case we chose a number and exceeded that. I will say, a lot of these older properties in Fairhope have been through many transactions, so it's important to do a thorough title search, to make sure that there are no encumbrances on it and the title is clean. Or to clean up anything that needs to be cleaned up prior to the transaction. So it's a necessary evil and a pretty small price to pay, even when you add it to the $100. So,
Yeah.
can I entertain a motion? All right, thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of authorizing the mayor to execute the contract, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Item 12 is a resolution. The council adopts a recommendation from the Recreation Board for Founder's Track and Field, subject to the availability with no rental fee reductions.
So moved?
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and these were recommendations from our Recreation Board. I believe these are being proposed unchanged from what their recommendations to the city council were. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the recommendations, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, that motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 13 is a resolution to award the bid to Apex Contracting Services for a metal building. It's a 50-foot by 120-foot pre-engineered metal building with the foundation electric storage building addition for the city of Fairhope. The electric utility with a bid proposal not to exceed $178,000. That would be $2,000 under the current budget. So I will entertain a motion to award the bid.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I will quickly point out that this was the low bid, and we did have multiple bidders on this. So good job, staff, on that, getting those multiple bids in. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any final discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 14 is a resolution to award a bid to Asphalt Services for project number STPSU-0220 for a roundabout at North Section Street and Scenic 98, also known as Veterans Drive, in Main Street with a bid proposal not to exceed $1,597,777.50. This is an 80-20 grant with ALDOT, meaning that the city will have to provide 20% of the cost. And, once again, here we are, special time and day for this meeting. And this is a biggie, folks. And I don't want to take too much of your daytime from you, but we've been waiting on this for a long time. I'm happy to see this, and I'm glad that we were patient enough to wait to share in the cost. It's an intersection that we have a lot of accidents. We have the Flying Creek Nature Park that's being ready for opening now. We have a tunnel just to the northeast of this intersection, and it's going to be, I think, a beautiful addition. Thank you guys for Mayor and everybody else. Richard did, Mr. Johnson especially, that worked on all this, and everybody that was involved with that. So I would love to entertain a resolution to award the bid. We have a motion?
So moved.
Can you second it?
Second.
Okay, yeah, he moved it. He moved it.
Right.
I have a motion and a second.
We can
Any,
get this one.
any final discussion?
Right.
Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. That's right up there with the Girl Scout cookies. I dare you to say no. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 15 is a resolution that Mayor Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute a contract amendment with Volkert for professional engineering services of the roundabout at North Section Street and Highway 184, Veterans Drive / Scenic 98, the AlDOT project previously stated, to add construction, engineering, and inspection fees for not to exceed cost of $212,654.25. The new contract total will be $350,368. This is also an 80/20 grant with AlDOT, directly tied to the previous award. So I will entertain a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the contract.
Moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 16 is a resolution. The Fairhope City Council hereby accepts the $14,334 gift to the city of Fairhope from Lucy McVeigh and earmark these funds for an additional entrance to Knoll Park and authorize the use of capital improvement funds for the remainder of the cost of the project. Let me say, an additional entrance is not like another ingress egress, right? Isn't it just a pretty arch?
It's an ornate kind of.
Yeah, it's an
entrance
ornate thing.
Like we have on the other side.
Yeah,
It's pedestrian entrance, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to mislead anybody into thinking there was another entrance coming in there, because we kind of want to keep the impact minimal there.
Yeah, no, vehicular entrances.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion to accept the gift.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? We want to thank them for that. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. All right, the motion carries. Thank you. Item 17 is a resolution. The Fairhope City Council accepts the gift from Colvin family for the Christmas arch in memory of their mother, Carolyn Seeley Colvin, and the planter that is to be used at the Flying Creek Nature Preserve, valued at $2,900. And that's more appropriately what we were talking about on the ornate arch. And also a planter, pretty nice planter that we can put there at the center there, actually.
So moved.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Thank you. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 18 is a resolution that public water improvements indicated herein for Cottonwood Estates subdivision are hereby accepted for public maintenance, subject to the bond posted, and authorizes Mayor Sullivan to execute the maintenance and guarantee agreement between the City of Fairhope and P&G Developments, the subdivider, and Grant Nichols Construction, AKA the contractor. Everything in order? All right, Richard. Richard gives us a thumbs up, so I'll entertain a motion to accept those improvements.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 19 is a resolution to award the bid to W.R. Mitchell Contractor for the force main upgrades, the Thompson Hall project, for a not-to-exceed amount of $672,165. Darrell, it's a lot of money, so we probably better get a quick rundown on that, if you don't mind. We're familiar with it.
So this is an upgrade for our Thompson Hall lift station. We're going to basically take a lot of load off of that lift station. It's a key lift station, and we're just rerouting some force mains, and this is what's got to be done in order to. This is part of kind of a pre-work for the restore project. This is just one of a couple force mains that we've got to redo.
And I want to add to that, we did have 3 responsible bidders.
We did.
And this is a budgeted.
A budgeted item.
Budgeted item.
Yes, sir.
You
Thank
have,
you, Daryl.
Daryl, you have to mention how much under budget it came in.
So
please.
I did the math. It's about $577,000 under budget.
I personally don't like to advertise that to the contractor, but they're thinking they could have gone up. But actually, they had some competition, so they probably had to be a little
They
careful
did,
with that.
yeah.
It's good.
It's good.
All right.
That's why we like as many people as we can. on that
Absolutely.
list. Yes, yeah.
Okay,
You're right.
all right. Somebody want to make a motion to award the bid?
So moved?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, please say nay. All right, thank you, council. Motion carries. Item 20 is a resolution. City council approves the selection by the evaluation team for professional engineering services for the installation of a new lift station on Scenic Highway 98 and a lift station upgrade at the Grand Hotel to CDG Incorporated, and hereby authorizes Mayor Sullivan to negotiate the not-to-exceed fee to be approved by the council. So it's been evaluated. This is no more than the approving this selection by the mayor. So I'll entertain a motion.
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. She'll bring back the fee schedule for final consideration. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 21 is a resolution to award bid to G&L Tank Sandblasting and Coatings for the reconditioning of water treatment plant number 2. That's a 3 million gallon hydro pillar tank, and the water treatment plant number 3, a 300,000 gallon elevated leg tank with a bid proposal not to exceed $1,882,155.
So this is a budgeted item, and we had five bidders, and it came in well under budget as well.
I'm so happy to hear that. I
Yep.
mean, the fact that we're getting these bidders, that's normality again,
It's
or somewhat, right?
Derek, remind me, water treatment plant number 3 is where?
That's on County Road 33,
And then number 2?
is the Walmart tank.
That's right, okay, very good.
And I'll also point out that, we know that these are very responsible bids. Bids are pretty close
They are.
cluster there, so that gives you a real good feeling there as well.
It does.
Okay. All right, I will ask for a motion to award the bid.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All right, any further discussion? All right, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. I want to go back, I do want to comment, sometimes these water tank paintings, they cost over $1 million a piece, so it does look to be. And I know that the one is only a 300,000 gallon elevated leg tank, but it's still, for once, I feel like it seems reasonable for the first time in a while. So maybe we're trending in a good way here. Item 22 is a resolution that Mayor Sullivan is authorized to execute a contract amendment with Chris Francis Tree Care for bid number 24056, citywide tree maintenance annual contract to increase the total contract amount for year one by $90,000. The new contract total for year one will be a not to exceed $186,000. The total contract amount not to exceed $378,000 for 3 years. And authorizes the treasurer to transfer a budget of $50,000 from account 001350-50360 to 01360-503. Well, that is the same number, so to fund a portion of this increase.
One's 5
136. One is 5 and one is 36.
1350. Oh, it is 01360. I was looking at the last part. Thank you for that correction. All right. Who wants to speak to that? Okay.
So this is our tree trimming contract that we did for the first time this year for our subdivision trees that we're trimming, going throughout the subdivisions, that we've had an issue with the fact that a lot of them are around 15 years old and the tree canopies have never properly been maintained and they've kind of gotten out of hand, had a lot of issues. And if you're looking for an example of what we've been working on, you can go to Gayfer Estates and Stone Creek and see a dramatic difference in what they've done. they've done a phenomenal job, and we have a lot of hot subdivisions. Next on the list is Summer Lake, Founders, Woodlawn, and then depending upon how far we can go down there, Hollow Brook. They're all roughly the same age subdivisions. And we got with Chris Francis and got a general idea of about how much money we need to get the really, really hot ones done. And this would allow us to try to get those canopies back to where we can maintain them.
They certainly do a good job. They're professionals. We're pretty happy with the pace of, I mean,
Yeah, and
how they're moving along.
Everything looks phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, they know their business.
So the change order is because of the increased deficit as far as the tree canopy is what we.
Well, no, the change order is because we misjudged how much they'd be able to get done in a year. They're moving a little bit faster than what we thought.
Okay.
So we're trying, since we're on a roll and have them working with us now, we're asking for permission to go ahead and get into next year's money and transfer money from the street department over to the horticulture department to cover some of the difference.
Remember to cut down your popcorn trees and your camphor trees.
That's right.
Don't tell them to do it.
Promise you. Well, I'm just saying, we nip it in the bud. They grow so fast. What you can get rid of now, we won't have to trim later. I mean, those camphor trees will grow 100 foot in 10 years. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
unbelievable. I really have it out for them. I don't like them.
All right, so move.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute the contract. Any further discussion? Kevin, you must have drank a lot of coffee today. I don't believe you made this many motions and seconds in like 6 months. All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Item 23 is a resolution. The city of Fairhope approves the award of the request for quotes for labor and materials for the replacement of drainage at Fire Station Number 2 to Blade Construction for a project cost of $55,626 plus an additional contingency cost of $1,376, total not to exceed $57,002. And it did come in under budget.
So move.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. All right, motion carries. Once again, more than one bid on that, so good job, guys. Item 24 is a resolution. The city of Fairhope hereby terminates the contract with Global Solutions and Data Services LLC for RFQ PS 24-022 go-between support for the city of Fairhope and Tyler Technologies and other supporting applications as allowed in the additional considerations B, termination clause of the executed contract. Okay, is that you, Jeff?
I was trying to remember when we did this contract. I would say it's probably been about 6 to 8 months. If we're going to go ahead and terminate this one, if we could, if I were to redo it again, I would probably do a contract where you pay as you use the services. 'Cause we finished a couple projects, and by like November, we didn't really have much else to do, but yet we still had to continue to pay for the services, and I didn't think that was right. So I went ahead and requested we terminate the contract.
Very good. Okay, questions for Jeff? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to terminate the contract.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Good job, Kevin. You are still awake. All right. Jeff, just real quick, I assume that we have to give them some notice, right? Is it 30-day, 60-day notice?
The contract required a 30-day notice.
Okay. All right, so we got 30 more days. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 25 is a resolution. The city of Fairhope authorizes submission of the RAISE Grant Program 2025 for a bridge system to replace a box culvert system over Fly Creek on US Highway 98, Fairhope, Alabama, and authorizes the mayor to sign required grant application documents on behalf of the city. If awarded, the money will be passed through ALDOT, who will manage the project. So this is just assisting ALDOT in getting the money to make the necessary repairs. You know, there was a lot of construction going on there earlier in the year, and that's needs to be fixed ASAP. So hopefully they'll be successful. So if I can entertain a motion to authorize the submission of the grant.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Item 26, a resolution, the city council accepts equipment installation and training of 2 complete Vesta positions for the Fairhope Police Department from Baldwin County 911 District. The total amount of the equipment and services is $70,501.85, all provided free of cost. After the first year, the Fairhope Police Department will be responsible for the annual recurring support cost of $6,225.
I wanted to say good evening, but it's still afternoon.
I know, I've said like night 3 times earlier, you've been right.
Yes, so this is from the Baldwin County 911. They call it a grant. It's not necessarily a grant. We didn't apply for it. They are giving it to the police department. They're providing two pieces of equipment that are called Vesta positions, which is kind of confusing because they're called positions, but it's actually just equipment. This is to be able to provide the police department the equipment for responding to 911 calls with Baldwin County 911. It's a location device so that when they're transferring calls or answering calls, they can actually get the location services. There is no money transferring. The equipment, the company that provides the equipment is going to come install the equipment. They are also going to provide the first year of services, contract services for the equipment. So we will not have to pay anything for the first year. After the first year, the Fairhope Police Department will be writing into their budget the support cost of $6,225. Chief is aware of the equipment. Jeff is aware of the support services. So everybody is understanding and aware, but there'll be no money transferring through us. They'll just be coming, installing the equipment, and that's all we'll be doing.
Is this, if I may, Council President?
Yes, sir.
This is an annual cost. Is there an escalator on it? Is this a flat? Is this cost locked in? Or what is
The
that?
6225.
It's six, yeah.
We probably don't know if there's an
We
escalator
don't-
on it
yeah,
at this
we
point,
don't-
because this will be the first year that we've done it. So, but we're not signing a contract right
That's
now for
not- are
that
we
first year
signing
of
a
support. No.
contract for that annual cost?
I don't
Not for
know,
the annual
Jeff, do
cost
you know
right now, I
anything
don't
about the contract
I
services
didn't
for
see
this?
any information on
Because
that.
it would be budgeted for next year, so I would think we would
No,
sign
we're-
off.
we haven't signed anything, there's nothing to sign. If we decided we're not going to use their services, then we could just stop using it. But this greatly increases the response time for the Fairhope Police Department. This is the same phone system that the 911 center uses. So instead of having to pick up the phone and dial the Fairhope Police Department, they're just transferring it from one station to another.
Yeah, I get it. I'm
And
not,
oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, I understand that. I'm
Yeah.
just worried about the money. I'm just trying to, we have a cost here and it was kind of just that. I don't have any information on
Just
whether
want to
it's.
know if year two, that our cost would rise to like $15,000.
Right.
Versus 6,000, so, but we don't know that as of yet.
Yeah, and there's nothing in this resolution
There's nothing-
that binds you to that.
Right,
Right.
okay. Just, yeah.
In fact, the first year's support is typically $7,400, which we're getting for free.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I
I
know-
just
I know
want to
you-
know if
I-
they
good
want their
question.
money back at some
I
point.
like it.
'Cause-
Oh, I see what you're
Take it
saying,
easy,
yeah.
it's all right, let's talk through it, we're
Yeah,
good.
no doubt. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah, so that's why I was
Merry
asking.
Christmas.
Yeah,
Mayor, this isn't that E911.
It is
No.
not.
okay. All right, very good, guys. Just thoughts, questions.
All right. All right, thank you for that explanation. I will entertain a motion to accept the equipment installation and training.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All right, any further discussion? All right, good questions, Councilman Martin. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Item 27 is a resolution, the City of Fairhope approved the procurement of the annual renewal of Palo Alto support and subscriptions for the firewall that is on the NASPO contract with Clearwinds Technology and therefore does not have to be let out for bid with a total not to exceed amount of $66,568.04. Bet that's Jeff again.
Yeah, I think this is the 8th year that we've renewed this for our firewalls. It's just the support and the underlying, or the subscriptions for the firewall to keep it up to date and protecting the network.
So it's an overrun from the budget, so where will you take the money from?
Right, yeah, so I have a server that we're going to be retiring this year. I just don't think it's needed anymore, and I had budgeted $25,000 for that server, so I want to just utilize that money for the shortfall of this. So yeah, this was an actual about an $8,000 increase from last year, which not happy with, honestly. And I'm going to actually start looking for other solutions this year. I'm not promising I'm going to find one. I've got one that I'm looking at right now, but it's missing some pieces that this one has. But yeah, these subscriptions are starting to get
14% increase.
it's big.
It is. But, you know, I guess you're dealing with Palo Alto, you know?
I mean, it is.
So,
It's a good product.
It is a good product.
but that's where the money is.
So you just kind of have to weigh the cost. I mean, there's other solutions out there, but this one has particular sets of features that are really important to us. So we'll just have to. I'm going to do my best to research and see if I can find something else.
It's worth it, though. It's worth it.
It is.
Yeah. That's
But
exactly.
at some point it just needs to
Some point,
stop.
it becomes not worth it.
At some point,
Yeah,
but right now.
and it's getting close.
Or it becomes, there's an alternative.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jeff. Well,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
entertain a motion to approve the procurement of the annual renewal.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Just kind of point out that's, not exactly the same, but it's an annual thing, just like the previous resolution would be an annual thing after year one, so. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. All right, thank you, council. Motion carries. Item 28 is a resolution. The city of Fairhope hereby temporarily suspends ordinance number 1425 from noon on December 31st, 2024 to noon on January 1, 2025 for purposes of New Year's Eve celebration activities. And I see Chief Hollinghead back in the back. I think I can probably handle it. Well, that ordinance 1425 states that alcohol cannot be served during that time because it falls between like Sunday night at midnight and Thursday at noon, Wednesday at noon, not past midnight on those days. So that being New Year's Eve and knowing that we would have a lot of businesses open probably late in the evening, on that evening, we'll get greedy and try to make a lot of sales tax revenue that night. And so we would be asked to suspend that ordinance. So I will entertain a motion to temporarily suspend that ordinance for that time period specified.
So moved. Second?
We have a motion and a second. All right, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Item 29 was added on to the agenda earlier. I'll read that in its entirety. It's pretty short. Oh, thank you, Jimmy, for showing up.
Better late than never, huh?
There you go.
Amen.
We can go back over the
Negative.
public hearing if
Public
you'd
hearing.
like.
I'll watch it
Tomorrow.
It's recorded.
Item number 29, be it resolved by the governing body of the city of Fairhope, Alabama, that the city council hereby approves the recommendation by the rec board that the Bayshore tennis team be allowed to use the tennis courts at the Mike Ford Tennis Center at a rate of $5 per player per day. This does not apply to tournament play, which will fall under Resolution 5189-24. And this resolution would be resolution they're referring to as 5189-24 would go into effect immediately until, this current resolution would go into effect immediately until June 1, 2025.
Sunset.
And this is the charge that we charge anybody to play tennis there at the tennis center. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the recommendation.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item number 30, I'm going to wing this. This is at the request of Girl Scout Troop 8017 to use the public area on the east side of Julian's for their annual cookie sale for the dates mentioned prior, January 7th to...
They didn't give an end date, so.
It was whenever that ends.
13.
Anyway, we're gonna sell out, probably sometime in March, I think. We'll just say beginning January the 7th. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the use of that space to the Girl Scout Troop 8017.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Jimmy, I know you weren't here for this, but everybody's been warned what happens if you vote no to this one, so.
You don't
all
have
right.
any cookies.
No, I do not want you to. All right. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right. Motion carries. I thank you. Public participation, if you have anything else to bring forth before the council, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes. Not you, Hunter. Sit down. All right.
Jeff Haig, 249 Falls Creek Street, Fairhope. On behalf of Bayshore Christian School, I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Jeff.
Merry
Thanks for being
Christmas.
here. Yes, sir. Merry Christmas. All right. Is there anyone else? Okay, so no one, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Hit that.
All right, Merry Christmas.